Because I'm running late, it is Timeline Tuesday on a Thursday. Yay, I guess. So yeah, today we're doing Black Ops Timeline. Black Ops 3 is probably the most confusing story I've ever heard, and that's because you need to put all the pieces together, and it's been hard for me to figure that out. So there might be some things left out in Black Ops 3, but yeah, let's get into this shit. Black Ops 1 takes place in 1968 during the Cold War. The first thing that we see is Alex Mason waking up in his chair and seems to be interrogated by two anonymous people that we will find out about later. He demands that Alex to tell what random numbers he's seeing in his head, and then we get a flashback to the Bay of Pigs, which is an event that happened. So in 1961, his mission was to assassinate Fidel Castro. Eventually, Mason and the rest of his team make it to Castro's base and shoot him and his madame, whoever the fuck that bitch was. It was actually just a stunt double. He got some revenge by handing Mason over to his new friend that's with the Soviet Union, Dragovich, which really fucks him up in prison, but Mason makes a new friend in prison, and his name is Viktor Reznov. And Reznov used to work for Dragovich until he didn't really get what he was looking for and got fucked up in prison also. Mason finds a way to escape with the rest of the fellow inmates, and he returns to the US of A, but leaves Reznov, and Reznov escapes. While there, he is ordered by the president, John F. Kennedy, to kill Dragovich. Ironically, Mason and his friends run into Reznov, Victor, where he explains that Dragovich is working outside the Russian government and wants to attack America with Nova 6 nerve gas, and Mason and his friends escape. Remember those numbers? They are actually signals broadcasted to activate sleep agents that should release the Nova 6 gas, according to Dr. Steiner, and he says he can help if he's picked up at Rebirth Island. Supposedly, Mason and Reznov fight their way over, and then supposedly Reznov kills Steiner, but Reznov was never there. In fact, he was never there for 5 years because he actually died 5 years ago. So what actually happened with Dr. Steiner is that Hudson saw Mason kill Dr. Steiner. And also, Hudson explained that he's the interrogator. Dragovich's plan was to brainwash Mason into assassinating JFK, and one of the ways was by using Reznov as a way to trick him into thinking that he was alive so that they could tap into his brain. And Reznov actually died in Russia when he was trying to help Mason to escape. And he succeeded. But eventually, Mason Hudson discover a ship named the Rusaka, where they find Dragovich, and he is shot by Hudson, and Mason drowns him to death. Then in Black Ops 2, in 1986, Alex Mason and Frank Woods fight in Angola to hunt for a dangerous terrorist named Raul Mendez, which honestly is a really badass. Then Mason and the team head for Niagara, where they go and try to capture Menendez. So for whatever reason, Menendez was in his sister's room. I have no fucking idea why, and he was just watching her sleep. And funny story, I thought that this was gonna be some sort of jump scare for some reason, like 4 years ago. I don't know why, this just looks so out of the ordinary and creepy. But then he has to open the door to get his pizza. No, I'm just kidding. Mason and his crew catch him, and yeah, you can see that he's very concerned about his sister's safety and all of this. So then this man, for whatever reason, frees him. Fucking traitor. And Menendez goes on like a raging rampage across the town, where eventually Mason and Woods see Menendez and they try to stop him, but then Woods gets a little carried away and throws a grenade and fucks everything up, and then they think Menendez is dead, but he's actually not. He survived. Then, almost 40 years later, in 2025, Alex Mason's son, David Mason, and Woods head to Colossus Resort, where they are looking for info on a weapon named Karma. But surprise, surprise, Karma is actually a girl. So yeah, I guess the inside joke is that Karma's a bitch. So yeah, then Menendez does this speech like he's some sort of like dictator, which I guess he is. And Menendez is eventually captured in Yemen and is brought aboard the USS Obama, but he escapes. When they head back to LA, there is a full-scale attack. Drones are the reason for the attack. And David Mason must escort President Bosworth to safety, and then in the Hatayan facility where the choice is yours. But we assume that you're gonna kill Menendez. 40 more years later, in 2065, you play as you, and you're accompanied by Jacob Hendricks, and both of you attack a NRC airfield in Ethiopia and secure the kidnapped Egyptian prime minister, and a robot totally messed up your body. You pretend to be a weapons dealer just to get some info on some stuff, and then you get ambushed. Got him, coach. Then it turns out that Taylor, who is just an army man that looks really badass, turns into the enemy due to some sort of mind control, and then you disobey an order to kill one of the female enemies, and that almost costed a life. Then you go to Egypt to interview Dr. Salem, a former survivor of the Singapore disaster. So you're fighting this like humongous ship enemy thing that I don't know how you're actually able to fight this thing because it's like 50 times your size, but nonetheless you defeat it, and then it comes down, and then somehow you get pinned to the floor. I have no idea how that happened. And then your best buddy Taylor's here. And yeah, you think that you're fucked, but actually he finds a way to free himself from the mind control and dies. But he's actually alive, and he says this that will come important to the end of the timeline.
Still here. You, Hendricks. No!
Fuck you. Then you're fighting a ton of crazy targets by Quebec. Then Rachel dies because video game, but as it turns out there were other survivors of the test subjects, and Hendricks was under the influence. I guess you could say like Black Ops 1 in a way, except they were using computers instead of like brain tricks and stuff like that. And Krieger caused it. So then Krieger dies because video game, and then Hendricks dies because video game, and then you die because video game. And then you're in a afterlife woods, like a heaven type of thing, and then you're doing something really fucking confusing that I still don't understand till this day. And then you try and escape, and you fight that ghost thing, and then when you're escaping the room, this confusing thing happens.
I said, what's your name? Taylor.
And basically what happened was you were actually dead for a long time, just like Reznov, and actually you were Taylor the whole time, and everything that happened didn't really happen the way it was supposed to be. And yeah, the end. Unless they release Black Ops 4 in like a couple of years. Fuck.
You got something to say, Hendricks?